I have a message for the coalition. And I love the coalition because they're essentially responsible for bringing back my favorite franchise of all time, that being Gears of War, bringing it back from a limbo state or a state of no return. When Gears of War Judgment came out, I believe it was the dark ages of Gears of War, and I've stated this multiple times. Even though everyone has different opinions about Gears Judgment, some people liked it, some people didn't. I think the overall notion, though, was that Gears of War Judgment was different for sure, and there was a number of things about it that were different, but it was definitely a step in the wrong direction. For me, the campaign felt like it was a round of horde mode. Like you were just going up against like waves and waves of enemies. It felt very like it felt very robotic and like mechanical and just did not, it didn't hit for me at least. Some of the mechanics were interesting. The way you switch your weapon, things of that nature was a little bit different. And I thought those were interesting concepts, but overall, I thought it was the dark ages of Gears of War. So what happened after that? Well, obviously Cliff Bleszinski or Cliffy B, Epic Games was no longer going to create Gears of War titles, and then Microsoft forms the Coalition. Coalition comes out, brings us Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which was, of course, the Gears of War 1 remaster, which I thought was awesome. Loved, I thought it was, a great kind of bridge. It kind of was great because it was bringing us back to that, the old days of Gears of War. Then came Gears of War 4, which I thought was the best Gears title since Gears of War 3. So Gears of War 3 was my favorite Gears of War title ever. It still is to this day. I absolutely loved Gears of War 3. So it had a lot of living up to do, obviously, that being for the Coalition. But Gears of War 4 I thought was great. I mean, sure, it wasn't perfect, but none of these games, no game out there is perfect, guys. There's always things you can get better. And I think it's important that you look at the things that you're doing right, wrong, and what you can do better moving forward. And so I thought that Gears of War 4, though, overall, from the perspective of esports to from a competition perspective to all the different modes that came with it, were fantastic. Like, I just thought as a package, Gears of War 4 was awesome. Then we get Gears 5, okay? And we've already talked about the title, guys. I didn't like the title being Gears 5, going away from Gears of War 5. I think it should have stayed as Gears of War instead of Gears. But that being said, Gears 5 I loved it. I loved Gears 5. Wasn't my favorite Gears of War title, but I loved Gears 5. Just, the things that they were trying to do, like making it a semi-open world campaign. So just a number of things that I thought that they were really trying to help transcend this third-person shooter. Not everyone liked it, though, right? A lot of people didn't like Gears 5. They thought that we were kind of going backwards in a number of areas. And, doesn't really matter what I think. What matters is, really what a lot of other people thought about that. And so, nonetheless, even though some people thought it was a step in the wrong direction, the Coalition are responsible for bringing us into some great years of Gears of War, with the Gears of War Ultimate Edition to Gears of War 4 to Gears 5 and the future, right? These guys are still working on Gears of War. I mean, we know they're working on Gears. Whether it's the Gears of War collection, whether it's Gears of War 6, they're working on Gears of War. I mean, they're called at Coalition Gears. So they are working on Gears of War. Now, sure, they're working on some other titles. They are helping out. Reportedly, they're helping out with the Perfect Dark reboot. They're also working on their own IP altogether. Now, what that is hard to say. Is it in the Gears of War universe, or is it, a completely new thing altogether? I think it's probably a completely new thing, which is fine. As long as they're working on the future of Gears of War, I'm totally fine with them working on their own projects. So, all of that history down. My message to the Coalition is this. Please, reach out to the community as to how we can help in any way with Gears of War moving forward. What I'm getting at is this. I've pledged my YouTube channel to Gears of War at this point. I've brought back my organization or my team to help with, within Gears of War, but also just brought it back because I thought that there was a real need here to get to kind of bridge the gap between where we are right now to Gears of War 6 or the Gears of War collection, whatever the future is. But please reach out to us let's have better communication moving forward in terms of from the coalition side to the community side as to how we can help. Like, I believe that content is kind of number one. Content is king for sure. So creating content is going to be huge, whether we're talking from a stream perspective, whether we're talking from a, YouTube perspective, that creating content on YouTube. I think that's very important. But can we as the community put on our own tournaments? Like our own competitive tournaments, not like kind of like esports tournaments, but just community events and things of that nature. Can we do things like that? Will the coalition help us with those things? I think that it's really important that we have this kind of communication with the coalition, at least for a game plan moving forward. We're going to be talking about the Gears of War 3 remaster, or Delta Online, or A New Hope, that the community is coming up with, these different mods and things of that nature to kind of try to help bridge the gap as well. But I want us to have a better communication with the coalition in terms of the next steps moving forward. I'm not asking for the coalition to tell us, hey guys, we're working on Gears of War 6 right now. I'm fine with them keeping some secrecy. But how about right here, right now? What can we get from the coalition that's going to help us as a community like stay sustainable until the next game comes out? Because I think that there is a very much so a need and a passionate fan base here. We saw this from the last tournament, that being the summer major for Gears Esports before it was shut down. We saw how passionate this community is. So what can we do to help? Like whatever it takes, like we want to do whatever it takes to see this thing forward and to make sure that this is a sustainable game, that being Gears of War 6 or the Gears of War collection or both for the future, right? We don't ever want to see this happen again because right now we're once again in what you could consider a lull, a limbo state, or a dark age of Gears of War. Some people are saying this is the next dark age of Gears of War. I'm not going to go that far as to say it's the Dark Ages. I mean, we could potentially dub it that at some point. I'm not going to say it right now because the coalition, we haven't had that communication yet. If we don't have that communication and it's kind of like a real limbo state for a long period of time, then yeah, we could consider this to be the Dark Ages or the Dark Ages 2.0 of Gears of War. But I think that as long as we as a community are able to put on some events, we're able to, do our part to make sure that we're creating Gears of War content and things like this to make sure that this is sustainable moving forward. I don't think we're going to go into a Dark Ages because I think that Gears of War Judgment and Gears 5 are it's not even close in my opinion. Gears 5 is so much better than Gears of War Judgment. It's not even close. So I think that as long as the community can do our part, and I already promised, guys, that we're going to do our part to really push this thing forward because it's up to us now, right? It is up to us for the future Gears of War. It's up to us as well as the coalition because they're the ones making the game. But it's up to us as the community. We really have like one more chance, in my opinion, to move the needle, so to speak, to make it so that Gears of War has a great, future, has a great launch when it comes out. All these things. I mean, I want to see us have a great launch like Halo Infinite had. And if we have to have like where it just they take their time, like 343 Industries took their time between Halo 5 to Halo Infinite, I'm fine with that. But please, coalition, please, I'm pleading with you guys to have some communication with the community. I think it's so important. We see so many games out there and so many developers that don't have proper communication with the community, and it becomes an issue. Call of Duty's having these issues with the Call of Duty League. just have communication, proper communication. And I think that you almost have to have like people in the community that can help be voices for the community. I'm not saying that I have to be that person. I'm not saying that, I think that people like Colin Clark or the Crow, he should be a voice for the community, right? Shadows, he's been creating content around Gears of War for years. He should be a voice that's in the room. And maybe, just maybe, the Coalition is going to, when they announce Gears of War 6 or the Gears of War collection, maybe they're going to have a roundtable of creators and pro players and things of that nature to really pick their brains and figure out, hey, this is what we got to do. I'll tell you, a team that is doing an incredible job at this is Stormgate and the guys over at Frost Giant Studios. So Stormgate is going to be a StarCraft 2 spiritual successor, RTS. Obviously, Blizzard has had issues, right, on a number of fronts, communicating with the community. And we've seen what's happened now with StarCraft. Even though StarCraft is still a great title and such, Stormgate is coming. And when that game comes out, I think a lot of people from StarCraft are going to move over to Stormgate. And Stormgate has already had incredible, impeccable communication with the community at this point in time. And the game has only just been announced. So now, obviously, we'll see what happens as time goes. Are they going to keep that communication up? I think there's a good chance they will, though. So I think that we need this with Gears of War. We absolutely need this, guys, with the Coalition to really see this thing move forward. So my message to the Coalition is, please reach out to us as the community. While we're in this state currently where Gears Esports has been shut down, there's no longer support on the Gears 5 servers. We're in the dark right now. Please, what can we do to help? Can we put on tournaments? Or community events? Can we, and have the blessing from the Coalition? Can we, obviously creating content and things of that nature, I think is king. Content is king, 100%. We need to be creating content, guys, whether that's from a stream perspective, a YouTube perspective, and I'm creating content every day on YouTube, but it's going to take more than just one person or a couple of people like Shadows, or, it's going to take all of us to either create content or to support your favorite content creators and your favorite streamers. That's what it's going to take. Every number matters when it comes to this thing. Okay, Gears 5, when you look at the numbers, we don't really get incredible viewership right here, right now. From a stream perspective, the numbers are on YouTube, I think, are fine, but every person that we can introduce to Gears of War and get to try it, guys, this is, if you really think about it, when you talk about the greatest third-person shooters of our time, Gears of War is in the top 10, and it's not even a question, okay? Think of it like this. I believe it's the greatest third-person shooter ever made. People will argue that Fortnite, PUBG, some of these other titles are better, okay? From a viewership perspective, as far as from a fan base perspective, competitive perspective, Fortnite is huge. It's transcended the space. It's transcending gaming more than anything, but Gears of War has so much potential, so much untapped potential. It's crazy to me. Even if you guys are creating content and it's just gameplay, put it out there, put it out on YouTube, stream on Twitch, don't show webcam or anything. Just create content, right? The more people who are doing it, the more this thing becomes infectious and more people start doing it, right? And I think that there's so much opportunity here in Gears of War. I truly believe that. But let me know what you guys think. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. And if anyone from the Coalition wants to come on the show or wants to speak privately or just, talk to the community at large, please reach out at any time. I am more than willing and happy to talk to anybody over at the Coalition about how we can move this thing forward. Please. Let's grow this thing. Let's blow this thing up. Whatever it takes, whatever you guys need over at the Coalition, whatever it takes, let's make it happen.